here in the finals. Such a great deck, we figured both players would play it. Amulet Titan here in the finals, 4 copies of it onto day 2. Said at the beginning of the broadcast it'd be a good weekend for big mana, and that was an understatement.
And these are 2 players that have definitely been playing this deck for a long time. Amulet Titan is a deck that I always like to caution, don't try this at home.
Talked to Will Pulliam about it. This was a metagame choice for him. He played it a lot back during Summer Bloom. And he said he hadn't played the deck for a year up until a couple days ago. Ran it through a couple leagues to refamiliarize himself with it, and it seems like it did the trick.
Yeah, that's all it took. Just a couple leagues.
2 leagues.
Just like riding a bike with like 17 tires, bizarre mechanisms to make them spin.
I would say if you're going to learn the deck, I would start with the Austin Robbins build, as it is a bit more, especially if you played back during Bloom, it plays more like that one. Will Pulliam's list, the Tribe Scout Explore style builds, those ones are more mid-rangey. They have a lot more moving pieces. Not to say that Austin's build is simple.
No.
Will's on the play, and that's pretty big.
Easier to make the first Titan if you were the first player to make a land drop.
Yeah. Most important card in the mirror probably is Amulet of Vigor. It's the card that lets you go the fastest.
Sure.
For Pulliam, Adventurous Impulse to start. Close, the Amulet was on top.
It's actually miserable because the Impulse has to put it on the bottom.
He's got choices.
Yeah, but he doesn't get the amulet.
No, he doesn't get the Amulet.
If it was a Stirrings, he'd get the amulet.
He'll take Sakura Tribe Scout. When looking at cards in this mirror, which I think you want to do, is really boil down to the fact that this will be about a 5-turn game of 4 or 5 relevant turns. On turn, would I be okay with the turn 2 Tribe Scout? It's pretty medium. Any later, and the card's actively bad.
Yes. At turn 3 is when you want to be making a Sousa.
Ryan, I don't know that Austin played a land. He suspended a Lotus Bloom.
That's no good.
If you're going to keep a hand like that, then your hand is either really bad or really good. Austin kept a 7 with 0 lands in it. If I'm on Will's side, I would. You should be very concerned about your opponent doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right, but it means they're so close to just getting you.
It's likely there's a bunch of bounce lands, not that it's a 0-lander. If it was something where he suspended both Lotus Blooms on the first turn of the game, that's concerning, but he suspended one, then drew the other. Like, the one Lotus Bloom is not doing anything.
Right. And we see here with the Zusa, Will Pulliam just having many land drops. Gets to go all the way up to 6 mana tapped here with those bonus land drops. And he'll make Engineered Explosives on 0.
Ooh. Well, if you catch those Lotus Blooms in the upkeep, they cannot cast sorcery speed spells, say Hive Mind, Primeval Titan.
There's a land, Slayer's Stronghold. An Amulet of Vigor. It's likely he kept a hand with double Amulet, Lotus Bloom, Bounce Land, Titan.
Yeah.
Lotus Bloom, which makes sense. However, Will puts a Bog in on the end step.
Exiled his own graveyard. That's the graveyard with cards.
Now my question is, does Will have a Primeval Titan? If he does, this should be good. If he doesn't, he's in trouble. And he didn't have one going into the turn, but I think he may have drawn it. 7 mana available for Will. Make that, 6. There we go. That looks like the 6/6.
He's thinking about floating a mana and not having it be the black mana.
All right. What he'd like to do is leave up 2 somehow to blow up this Lotus Bloom. If that's true, he should be fine. He's floating a red here.
Well, you would have to blow it up with lands untapped on Robin's turn, as the Blooms are still on suspend. It's not on 1. So the Asusa can help him do that.
He can get one of the 2 mana. Well, it's interesting. So if he hadn't tapped Bazooka Bog, he actually could have had the 2 mana to do this. So he may be up to something different.
Yeah, he's trying to do something this turn.
Oh, he has Gemstone Mine. So he's trying to do is give the Primeval Titan haste. That makes a ton of sense.
I buy that.
That seems like a worthwhile endeavor. And he can haste up the Primeval Titan. It's going to swing in. And he's actually got enough mana here at this point that even if the Blooms are produce something like Hive Mind, he can just pay.
Yeah,
for a lot of packs
of blue and green available here. And he didn't have to pack up the Titan, so he'd just be untapping all of this mana as well.
check here on game 1. First Titan wins was the idea. So far, it checks out.
Yeah, also the first player to make their first 4 land drops. There was a lot going on here.
On the draw, the Lotus Bloom build may not be strong enough.
I mean, Lotus Bloom, that card individually, those draws, you can't do anything. You're restricted from using that mana until turn 4.
Right. Unless you clock spin them down.
Yeah, that one...
it's a terrible card, but it
seen
does
that,
work.
Haven't seen that in Modern. If you can believe that.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so one Bloom off suspend. The other one, though, is still hanging out.
Be a mighty nice time to spin it down. And in upkeep, he will crack the Engineering Explosives on 0, make to deny Austin that mana.
Yeah, Tribe Scouts in the last mana source.
See, here we go. That's how you get your Lotus Blooms to go faster. That is not a card he is playing. For only 4 mana. Vakdos may go another Amulet. And he has a 3rd Amulet in hand. I like the greed on Austin's side is okay here. If he drew that land on the first turn, his hand probably beats Will's in a race.
Yeah, like being on the draw in this matchup is already kind of asking a lot of your deck. So a hand that just needs a little bit of help to be made makes sense to keep it.
And it's possible Austin has a bounce land. We're not...
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, he didn't have to expose it here, and on future turns, the triple amulet just gets him right to Titan.
Yeah, and he wouldn't expose it here because the Ghost Quarter is untapped.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for Austin, he is just too far behind.
He's just dead.
Yeah, so he picks up. Yep, bounce land gets Sunhome. He picks up the Sunhome, and thanks to Tribe Scout, you can put the Sunhome in at instant speed to give the Titan double strike, and Will takes the win.
There was no amulet, but the Tribe Scout was doing kind of a discount effect. Just a medium amulet-ish thing.
Yeah, it's those kind of lines that actually are available to this deck that original Amulet Bloom didn't have. The ability to get the land on the Titan attack, sneak it back in with Tribe Scout. That's something that Austin's deck, for example, can't do.
Right, yeah. Tribe Scout was picked up after they banned Summer Bloom. There was really no need for that when you just Bloom out ahead.
Well, it's interesting. When the development deck, it was in the lists with Bloom. Then it got cut because it wasn't good enough. Because when you have Bloom, you'd rather build the deck like Austin's. Have it this all-in, make 6 mana quick. You know, when you can make 6 mana on turn 2 sometimes, you really, this 1/1-for-1 isn't good enough.
Right. Yeah, exposing yourself to lightning bolts.
Right. You just assume blank them all.
Yes.
Going to sideboard games, Will Pulliam's got the first one. There are relevant cards here in the sideboards. Player sideboards are somewhat similar, somewhat different. Starting on Austin's side, he has Dismember, Swan Song, Kozilek's Return, Reclamation Sage, Hornet Queen, Slaughter Pact, Ancient Grudge, Walking Ballista, Ghost Quarter, Nature's Claim, Obstinate Baloth, and Tormod's Crypt.
I mean, you tell me how important destroying an amulet is in the mirror.
Medium. I mean, it's better than it is normally. I would board in a Nature's Claim, especially if you're on the draw. There are actually just a lot of cards here you can get rid of, which is the more important part of it. Austin has a second copy of Engineered Explosives, which is probably no good here. Some of his lands don't play. Colony Garden, Radiant Fountain, they're not really for the matchup. The deck's in a weird spot. It plays 28 lands, and it doesn't need 28 lands. It plays them because they are better than spells. So you can actually cut your mana sources from 28 down to even 25, and your deck's actually still functional.
Sure. In the matchup, I don't mind a Swan Song. Sometimes countering a Summoner's Pact can be a huge deal.
Yeah, I love Swan Song here. The 2/2's not going to matter.
Yep. Yeah, the game's about way bigger things than that.
Nature's Claim, Swan Song seem fine. He could board in a Dismember. There are, because Will plays both Tribe Scout and Azusa, the first Dismember is likely live.
Sure.
Is it? You have to weigh if it's better than some of these other cards he has here. Engineer Explosive is not particularly good. He doesn't, I'd board down to 1, I might board down to 0.
Right. You might get a window where you could meaningfully destroy an amulet with it.
Will's side has slightly less sideboard available because there aren't Tribe Scouts on Austin's side. You see these 3 Spell Pierce. They're great. They counter Hive Mind. That's great. A Braid, would come in the mirror if your opponent was playing Tribe Scout, but because they can hit Tribe Scout or Amulet, whichever 1-drop they have. But
A bit
Austin
worse
doesn't
with
do
just
that.
the one target. Yeah, you can actually abrade Lotus Bloom in the upkeep, which I do like.
Which is fine. I don't know if that's enough to earn its spot. You know, that is another thing it does, and that will matter some % of the time. Really depends on the cards he's replacing.
Yeah, and kind of what you're talking about. He has some of the same effects where he has these lands like Colony Garden and the Radiant Fountain and the Bajuka Bog that don't really play here.
Those 3 are the easy ones to cut, absolutely. I think you can go all 3 of those. The 3 Spell Pierces, though, are the premium ones in Will's board.
How do you feel about Emrakul the Promised End in the mirror? It's probably pretty expensive. You're not going to get to it before a player gets to Titan. I do like the potential to really mess your opponent up by Emrakuling their turn.
If I somehow got to take my opponent's turn with this deck, I would win.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. With this larger threat, the thing is that Primeval Titan has no problem winning. So you have this 11 mana spell.
Extra win conditions, not what you're in the market for.
Right. If you want to increase your win con density, and maybe Will's interested in that, then yeah, Emrakul could make sense. It's better at winning than any of the other cards, than Hornet Queen, Uruk-Thar.
Yeah,
Baloth.
those ones
They're terrible.
I don't think play at all.
If you want another win con, that's the one he'd go toward. But even, like, you can't pact for Emrakul, and even if you could, you'd still just pact for Titan.
Yeah. And so his deck can get sorceries in the graveyard. This card costs a lot of mana. You can get a couple other card types, but a little bit of fuss involved in doing so.
Maybe if I'd seen a Surgical Extraction out of my opponent, I might respect... Well, not even. The first Titan's not going to hit the graveyard.
Yeah.
It's just not how that goes. The deck's a pretty neat Swiss Army knife when it comes to all these one-ofs, but in the mirror, all those extra features that came on the knife don't matter. You're using it as... You know, you have this gadget with all these tools, and you're just using it to hammer in a nail. Game 2, Austin on the play. Keeps on both sides, and here we go. Just the Sun Home for Austin to start. No Lotus Bloom, no Amulet. Will match the Sun Home, but he'll add an Amulet to the board.
The Celadon Sun Home makes it feel like there's a bounce land to pair with it, at the very least.
Turn 2 Lotus Bloom from Austin, and how about a 3rd Sun Home?
Huh.
He was hoping that Will was going to play a green mana for him. Will float a mana, untap Gruul Turf, bounce the Sun Home. Does he have Azusa? It's Tribe Scout.
That's a land you'd want of Vesuva.
Yeah. You almost, and we'll see Dismember take care of the Tribe Scout. On Austin's side, wish you could hold the Vesuva. It does mean that if he draws a bounce land, he can pick up the Vesuva and reset it up to a bounce land at some point.
Yep. And also you do need to get 3 other lands out there to pair with this Lotus Bloom coming off Suspend. So you kind of priced into playing your lands.
Amulet of Vigor for Austin. Crumbling Vestige untaps, can make a mana of any color this once. It will be green. That does make an Azusa.
Yeah, once you have Amulet, the Crumbling Vestige, on the turn you play it is worth 2 mana.
Down to 2 cards in hand, and if Austin had more lands, I think these would have played out differently. And that's exactly it. Post Azusa, he has no more plays.
Yeah. If those 2 cards were green bounce land Titan, you'd see some different stuff happening. I guess not quite on... Oh, you can start on the bounce land. I don't know. The bounce land probably would have showed up earlier.
That's my point. Yeah, you're right. There are some great draws you could have, but if he had any of them, we would have seen something.
Right.
On Will's side, he's gotten a Braid in hand. It's not clear what he's supposed to abrade here. I don't think it's the Azusa.
Yeah, without the Amulet, the Azusa probably doesn't generate too much. It's 2-card hand. You can't just toss a bunch of lands out there.
Azusa will give him Austin the ability to play every land he draws.
Right.
Which
he kind of can already do.
Right. Azusa's not doing anything anymore.
Yeah, and there's a Lotus Bloom coming off Suspend as well.
Yeah, if you want to hit the mana, then you hit Amulet of Vigor, and Will's making the heads-up play and doing just that. And did he just pass as well? Oh, no, he remade the Sun Home. Okay. He's got a Forest in hand. Azusa attacks. Both players are waiting. That Lotus Bloom going to come off suspend next turn.
If Will has another Abrade, he can fight over that.
He'd like to hold up blue mana, at least give Austin some fear of Spell Pierce.
Not that it'd be for anything if it was just a Titan.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it's Hive Mind, then that would work.
Right.
If it's Hive Mind, Will needs to make sure that he could potentially pay for a green Pact. If he doesn't have the Spell Pierce.
There's a Pact and Negation in Pulliam's holding, so he's a bit off of paying for one of those in his upkeep.
Yeah, there's no way to use Amulet to help pay for Pacts in that way.
Right.
Well, actually, there is.
Yeah,
if you have Tribe Scout, yeah, if you have Tribe Scout, no way is not right. It is tougher. Plays Tribe Scout, and now this is a good opportunity for Austin. There's no blue mana in play, so if he has a Titan or a Hive Mind, this is likely to work.
Yeah, 3 cards in hand now, 6 mana available.
Well, let's do something. Primeval Titan is the play, using Lotus Bloom. This is a nice turn. He can get 2 bounce lands, pick up things, and reset them to other lands if he'd like. And now that he's made the first Titan, as mentioned, is the important part here, now he has to figure out how to win with the first Titan. The thought would be, if he's got a blue Pact in hand, just make sure you get mana to pay for the blue Pact. Pact Will's Titan. Figure it out from there.
Yeah. You're having the Titan first will put you very far ahead, and stopping Pulliam's first Titan should cement that.
Yeah, you'd have to dodge Cavern of Souls.
True. And Pulliam has that Pact of Negation in hand, but no way to pay for it in the following turn, so he's just going to get Titaned here.
On Robbins' side, can get Simic Growth Chamber, Ghost Quarter.
Assume picking up the Vesuva with the Growth Chamber.
Yeah, that's usually just the right play. He may not, if he wants the Ghost Quarter available, he's going to pick up the Ghost Quarter and replay it. And he'll do that. Ghost Quarter can keep you off of some bounce land turns if Will does not have any more bounce lands, but otherwise it actually doesn't stop that from happening. Ghost Quarter into a Tribe Scout is not great.
Right, yeah, so the Tribe Scout was cast this turn, and what you're alluding to here is Robbins, if he's going to Ghost Quarter, he wants to do it now before the Tribe Scout can just put in a bounce land at instant speed in response.
Yeah, correction here. So that was not... So he did pick up the Vesuva and then replayed it as a new Growth Chamber and then made the Ghost Quarter. So it's 7 mana in play for Robbins.
Yeah, the Azusa let him do that.
Back to Pulliam we go. He's on the undesirable position of being the second player to make Primeval Titan. Makes Simic Growth Chamber trigger with Amulet. May he pick it up? Floats a green, picks up the forest. So he has Titan mana. Might as well go for it. And Primeval Titan, hit by Pact of Negation. Will has a Pact of his own. If he has another Growth Chamber in hand, he actually can cast it. Actually, he can just cast it regardless, but he will let it get countered.
Kind of depends how the game revolves around the Ghost Quarter from there, if he does have another blue mana.
Yeah, there is no basic island in the deck.
Right.
But if the Primeval Titan had resolved there, he could get a lot more blue mana. Deciding to wait this one out. Back to Austin Robbins we go. Yeah, because if the Primeval Titan would have found 2 lands had it resolved, can find a way to pay for that Pact. Swing for Robbins. And now it's hard when your opponent has the Titan advantage. It's just so many cards, so many tutors each turn. Now swing in. It's going to be Boros Garrison and Gemstone Mine for Robbins.
Yeah, still no Amulet available for Robbins, but he can use these bounce lands to pick up lands with effects if he wants to use them later. Like, can't really do too much. He's already attacked with his Titan.
Swings in for 7, makes a land, makes another land. And a couple cards in hand. Is this going to be a pass back from Robbins? Will Tribe Scout back that forest into play? Just untap with 6 mana again here. Down to 11 he went. Next turn he'll be facing a lethal double striker.
Kind of the minimum box he has to check is getting his own Titan here, but that's not a great blocker in the face of a double striking creature of the same size.
Yeah, it's one of the difficulties in the matchup is that Titan is kind of everything. It is a better as an attacker. It is a tutor. If the other person makes the Titan first, you don't have a good counterplay. Amulet is the best thing you can do, and Will have that here as he casts Summoner's Pact. But he'll need a lot of help to make sure that this actually is lethal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the advantage he has, is he can do the Titan tricks with the Amulet and set some things up that way, though he's on the back foot in a big way.
Yeah, makes Primeval Titan for 6. He can untap. He can give it haste and +2/+0, but we're still a bit short here. That's going to be the play. See if he has found a line that he believes can keep him alive. That Pact Negation, unlikely to play if the onboard play is just double strike this Primeval Titan back at you.
Right. Can't counter those land abilities with that one.
And here will be the play. I'll see if it resolves. It does. There's a second blue Pact in Austin's deck, so we'll have to check on that. And in the face of no interaction, he's going to go for Boros Garrison Slayer Stronghold. Now he holds the trigger on the stack. This is a spot where Austin might Ghost Quarter him. If you don't want the Primal Titan to get haste, you can Ghost Quarter away Slayer's Stronghold right here. It is a blowout if Will were to Tribe Scout in a Vesuva. And say, no, I really want a Stronghold.
Right.
But yeah, we're holding with that trigger on the stack, and now Austin is weighing some options. Does have that Ghost Quarter untapped.
It's the most intense match of competitive jigsaw puzzles I've ever seen.
I love this stuff. It's all about who's done the jigsaw puzzle. It's not, the thing is, it's also deterministic. It's not just we're trying to solve the puzzle. It's like, who's done this puzzle before?
Right.
You know, it's like, oh, I've seen this one. Hold on, I know the answer. It's rewarding the person who's put in the practice. And Boros untaps, bounces Boros Garrison. We'll figure out exactly what's going on here. Looks like we +2/+0 and hasted the Primeval Titan, bounced Boros Garrison to itself, played it, and untapped it as the land drop for the turn.
Yep.
Picking up Sunhome. Slaughter Pact from Austin Robbins on the Primeval Titan.
I see. So now Pulliam has been hanging on to that Pact and Negation. He could fight over this.
He's got to figure out if he's dead if he does that.
He's already Summoner's Pacted.
Right, so he should be fine. He has 8 mana in play, and attack will net 2 more. I think he can Blue Pact back, but if he does he die to Primeval Titan's counter swing?
Right. All he gets to do is spend all of his mana at his next upkeep, so he can't do anything particularly fancy with the next turn.
What I like in that last exchange, why we didn't see the Ghost Quarters, Will had actually protected his Primeval, that Ghost Quarter. So if he'd gone for the Ghost Quarter, Will would have Tribe Scouted in Gruul Turf, picked up the Slayer Stronghold, played it as the land for the turn, and moved on. So Blue Pact is cast. Will now on the hook for 9 mana next turn. He'll be able to do it, but it'll take most of his mana. as he goes over toward attacks.
Yeah.
Unless he can make 16.
He picked up
Yeah.
the Sun Home. He's got the Tribe Scout, tutoring up 2 bounce lands.
This will work. They both untap. If Austin has no more play, this untaps both. He can Tribe Scout in the Slayer's Stronghold, or the Sun Home, and swing for
Garrison's
lethal.
on tap, so he has Boros mana available.
Gets 2 bounce lands, picks up 2 lands, and it looks like he's done it. Winning with the second Titan, not an easy feat here, but Will finding some excellent lines, playing around an onboard Ghost Quarter, and Sunhome into play will double strike the Titan. And there's a dismember from Austin. He had to have a black mana too. Okay, so he pays 2 life, goes to 14. The Titan no longer is an 8/6. It's a 3/1 double strike.
It only comes across for 6.
Well, this was such a bait here, because if he wanted to stop this play, he could have just killed a Tribe Scout at some point in this exchange. But he didn't. He said he wanted Will to commit completely to the play. And what is...
And now Will has to pay 9 mana on the next upkeep.
Yeah, Austin takes 6, goes to 8. That was...
Wow.
That is such patience on Austin's side to not use the Dismember earlier.
I was busy being impressed by Pulliam sequencing
Yeah,
there, and then Robbins just pulls out that Dismember, and it's a whole different game.
And there were a lot of points where Dismember was very good here. But the longer you wait, the better it gets. And now he has his opponent tapped out and on the hook for all the mana next turn. And he's got Sunhome. He'll swing both. It's not lethal yet, but Will have to chump block with Primeval Titan. That's the problem here.
And Will have to spend all of his mana on his next upkeep to pay for those 2 packs.
Right. He can survive this turn, but I don't know how he survives the next one. The Titan blocks. There's a double strike land in play. So Sunhome going to make a 6/6 double strike trample. Pay the mana for that. It says, great. Your Titan dies for first strike. Now takes 7. Will goes to 4.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Will's hanging on to for here.
Transmutes Teleria West, and there is another Pact of Negation in Austin's deck. That should cover it until next turn. If Will's tapping out all his mana, and that's what Austin will get, this should be locked up and sending us to a 3rd game. Some great sequencing here on both sides. It looks like for a second, Will had actually managed to win while having the second Primeval Titan, which is no easy feat.
Right. He had a setup where he was able to attack for 16, Robin's full life total.
Yeah.
Counter a Slaughter Pact, but then Dismember just took him off it.
We see a tap here for 9 mana to go to Will's side. The question is, well, if he has a bounce land and a Primeval Titan, he could make one here, except for the fact that Austin got Pact of Negation.
Right.
He'd need to also have Cavern of Souls to go with everything.
You're starting to look at having a lot of things.
It's possible. We're not completely dead yet. Doesn't look good. Titan is in Will's hand. He will use the Tribe Scout to put Gruul Turf into play. Untap Gruul Turf. Float the mana. It'll pick up. Actually, I'll just go ahead and pick up the Sunhome. Does it again. He's up to 6 mana here now off that Gruul Turf. It'll have to... We're on all bounce lands, so it'll pick itself up. 6 mana is Primeval Titan, but Austin will counter with Pact of Negation. That should work. We go back to Austin. As long as he pays for this Pact, we'll be going to a 3rd game. And he does. And we'll pick him up. So, Austin Robbins takes game number 2.
You've
That was
got to
some
be
good stuff.
thrilled to get
Yeah.
another game of this
Yeah. That was nice. That was so good. Well, now we, when you finish the jigsaw puzzle and then you break it apart, toss it back in the box, and then start putting it together
Shake it
again.
up. Just pour it back on the table.
Yeah. Great stuff there from both players.
Yeah, really cool sequencing on both sides.
Now I'm looking at these blooms from Austin. On the draw, they're rough. I mean, he's probably just priced into playing them all. We saw game one; it really did not feel like they mattered.
Yeah, we've seen some weird-looking games.
You're just waiting for the games where one person steamrolls the other one.
I want to see a runaway. I don't care who does it.
Turn 1 Tribe Scout. Turn 2 Amulet. Another Amulet Bounce Land. Another, or actually, just how about all amulets? Just like turn 1 Amulet. Turn 2 second Amulet.
Yeah.
Bounce Land, Explorer, Primeval Titan. Will, turn 2, play.
I want to see like the double Amulet turn 3 kill.
You can turn 2 it with the Explorer.
Oh yeah.
Will plays 2 of them.
Let's do some of that. Give me some of that.
Yeah, it's turn 1 Amulet. Turn 2 second Amulet. Bounce Land, make 4. Pick it up. Explorer. Do it again. 6. Titan. 20.
Yeah.
Shake their hand.
Love it. Yeah, I gotta make sure that I get to IHOP before the 24/7 restaurant closes. Permanently.
Yeah. All right, so we'll set up here for game number 3 shortly. Person on the play has taken both of them. Person on the play has also been the first person with Primeval Titan both times. Not to say it was easy.
Right.
Anything but.
Yeah, there was some wacky stuff going on in those games, but yeah, person on the play, first person to Primeval Titan. It's makes a lot of sense. It's a mirror match, and it's not really that interactive of a deck. Very proactive stuff.
3 more events here in Season 2 after conclusion this weekend. We take a week off. Next week, though, 2 weeks, we have the Modern Regional Championships. That's happening around the country. I might play Amulet. I could see it happening now.
I might play Blood Moons.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's going to happen. Following week, we have our team open in Las Vegas. Take a week off, and then December, we have a Baltimore Open, which is Modern, the week before SCGCHAR Winter. It's December 7th through 9th in Roanoke, Virginia.
A couple great tournaments to round the year out. Really excited for SCGCHAR Winter. And for myself, I will be playing regionals. Just need to remember to pre-register. Pre-registration, very important for tournament goers. I know as an LGS owner, we appreciate players that pre-register.
It's also the way you get a playmat.
Yeah. I always have unique playmats for the regional tournament.
First 200 players at each regional receive the exclusive regionals playmat.
And they're customized by location this time. They say the name of the city anyway.
Mulligan here from Robbins on the draw. There we go. That's the one. Hey.
Visit Minneapolis. See the multiverse. Minneapolis is not going to look like that in a couple weeks. It's gonna
What do you mean?
It's going to be a little colder.
No,
there are waterfalls, but that's
not what they look like in the winter.
They freeze at a certain point.
Yeah.
Which is actually really cool.
They don't get these. Yeah, no, that's great. But you don't get that billowy cloud stuff when they're frozen.
No. Common profile picture among Minnesotans is this waterfall that a lot of people like to walk behind. Really cool setting. It's like being sort of in a ice fortress.
Sometimes they're tricky to get to that place because as it freezes over, all the paths that lead up to it, the water on them turns into ice.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to.
It's rough.
Yeah. It's worth it though. It's pretty neat.
Can't wait to go home and triple sleeve my decks.
I cannot shuffle triple sleeves decks. That is.
I love how stressed Pulliam is looking doing this.
I can barely shuffle a double-sleeved deck.
They get pretty large.
I don't have the skills.
I think even if I started triple sleeving a deck, I would give up halfway through. I'll get like, not even that. I get like the fourth one on.
How many sleeves can you put on a deck? So, do over sleeves exist? Can I put like these in like hard shell mailers?
Well, they make various sizes for different board games. I don't know how they all fit together, but I'm sure that there's ways, as long as they're clear, you can stick more on top.
Take each of these, put each of these in a hard shell mailer. The hard case. Then put each of those inside a bubble mailer, and then shuffle 60 bubble mailers.
Just put them in one of those mail carts and shake it around.
I shake it around. Yeah. Every time I draw a card, I crack open the package, see what's in it.
What's in today's mail?
Turn 1, Stirrings from Will Pulliam off Basic Forest. Finding Simic Growth Chamber. Back over to Austin we go. Keeping on 6. Start Gemstone Mine into Amulet of Vigor.
Okay.
Certainly the stronger start.
Low on cards, but some good ones.
If you have 2 amulets, all is forgiven in this matchup.
Yeah.
And you wanted a quick one, Ryan. You're going to get that. So, here's an amulet on Will's side as well.
Excellent.
Boros Garrison untaps, picks up the forest, and it looks like we have an Abrade. He'll shoot down Austin's amulet.
As long as he's still going to kill him on turn 3 or whatever.
All right, here's the play. You tap the Garrison, you play 2 more amulets from your hand, then you play a bounce land, make 6, and then you win. Those hands are not very beatable in this matchup. If you just have a lot of amulets in your opener, it's really gross.
There's a lot of matchups where that hand's not very beatable.
Oh, one logic knot beats it.
Yeah.
One Thought Seize is really good against that hand.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair enough. You do draw a card every turn.
That's true.
Are you familiar with that game mechanic?
They have to be Primeval Titan, but yeah. So, Boros Garrison on Austin's side. Board pairs up, though William's ahead in Amulet. Pretty relevant way to be ahead.
Well, he also just kept a 7-card hand. He's just really, really far ahead.
Land and Explore from Will. Floating what's likely a red mana. There's no real use for white mana here.
Mm-hmm.
And may just see a slow march up to Primeval Titan.
Yeah. Quick finish once he gets there, though, because he has the amulet online.
And I love this. Teleria West untaps. That's his extra land drop for the turn. He'll pass. It gives him an out if he top decks Primeval Titan to make it next turn. Otherwise, he has Simic Growth Chamber and transmutes the Teleria West to set up for a Titan on the following turn.
Yep.
Crumbling Vestige, though, from Robbins, he's hoping to outpace here, and Azusa will help him do that. Plays Azusa, Teleria West, Gemstone Mine. Says go. Both players are running at about the same speed here. Question is, does Austin have the Titan? Or Will, rather? He's going to draw. He's got 4 mana in play and a bounce land in hand. Primeval Titan is makeable if he has one. If he has to transmute that Teleria West for it, he'll be down a turn.
Yeah, taking a turn off when your opponent has cast a Sousa, made a bunch of land drops. Got to be pretty afraid of that.
Yeah, the question is whether or not Will can do anything about it. And it looks like he can. Here's Summoner's Pact. Robbins does have enough mana to Pact of Negation here.
Yeah, that is wild. Yeah, 4 lands, and one of them's a bounce land. 2 blue sources, TUS, Gemstone Mine.
All checks out. If he does not have that blue pact, this may just be a win here for Will. Simic Growth Chamber untaps to the trigger. He will make a blue. That's 1 mana. Pick up the Teleria West, and here's the other 5. That's enough for Primeval Titan. He goes for it. Does it resolve? And Austin says, yes, it does. So we are going likely for the haste line. We're going to see Slayer Stronghold, and he's got to get his Vesuva.
Yeah, if he's drawn that, that would make it awkward.
If he has drawn either of those cards, then he'll have to make a different play.
Yeah.
And he still has to dodge Slaughter Pact at this point.
He can certainly just set up for additional Titan.
Has to dodge Slaughter Pact is a strong way to say it. He will untap both. The Vesuva copies Boros Garrison. It's a bounce land. He'll have to pick up one of those lands. He may just have the Vesuva pick itself up. And he picks up Slayer's Stronghold, and now Titan has 2-0 haste. Will, just being very deliberate here, attacks again. Another trigger. Now he'll just set up with some extra mana. We have a Simic Growth Chamber. And likely Teleria West, he won't be able to transmute it post-combat, because he'll have to pick it. The mana won't show up at the right time. So
he does already have a Teleria West that he picked up, so he can just find some other land or just not pick up one that he finds.
yeah, if he wants to transmute that second Teleria West, he could get something like Simic Growth Chamber and... well, he could get Simic Growth Chamber, yeah, just Teleria West and pick up the forest. The question he's wondering is whether or not he will need Ghost Quarter instead. Is it worth giving up the transmute this turn to put a Ghost Quarter in play?
So he's spending his next turn with a big chunk of mana paying for the Summoner's Pact. So it makes a little bit of sense to leave up something that's very easy to use like Ghost Quarter.
And that's what he does. He picks up the Vesuva that was on Boros Garrison, and now the attack will be in for 8. Austin will be down to... well, he'll jump block for 2. He'll be down to 14. Or is there more? Can he? Is this Dismember? Oh, he can trade with the Titan. Ooh.
Well, that
Big. That changed things indeed. It's rare that you can kill a Primeval Titan in this matchup, but Austin found a way. He's down to 16. A trample over for 1. He'll go to 15. And Will's on the hook for that Summoner's Pact. We may yet have a game. Austin needs a lot, though.
Yeah, he doesn't have that much in the way of leftovers. Again, he mulliganed pretty low here.
Yeah, he only has single green mana right now, actually. So 5, if he has a Forest and a Titan, he can make a Titan on the way back. But does he have the mana for it? Without the mana for it to play this turn, this is his window. That is, I'm not sure what's...
He got Ghost Quartered.
Oh, okay. Okay, he's getting Ghost Quartered upkeep. That makes sense. On the Boros Garrison, that'll keep him off the Titan for a turn.
I think we were both looking at the same thing, and neither of us were paying attention to Pulliam, but yeah, that was just Ghost Quarter going off.
So Will going to try to keep him off that 6th mana. Why he got the Ghost Quarter there. Does not want to be tightened back. We'll see what Austin has with his leftovers. He can transmute Teleria West. Gemstone Mine now down to 1 mining counters. He had to use it for blue. Going to find Simic Growth Chamber. You just want picking up Gemstone Mine. That shows all the signs of just having a Titan for next turn and wanting to make sure that you can cast it.
Right.
We'll see what Will can do. Upkeep. Got to pay for a Summoner's Pact.
Yeah, he does have Amulet, so if he can get another Amulet or an Asusa, he could technically cast another Primeval Titan this turn.
Yeah, he's off by a bit. Right? It's not 1 card to make the Titan. He needs 2.
He needs the bounce land to go with it.
Yep. Looks like he's going to burn through an extra mana as well. Which shows he wants to preserve that blue mana for Teleria West.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy setup on this turn. If there's nothing really fancy going off, just transmute that, go find your Summoner's Pact.
Change of plan, though. Ancient Stirrings from Will. Floating 1 blue.
He at least has Vesuva in hand, which could be another Growth Chamber, so he'll still be able to transmute the Teleria West if that's what he wants to do at the turn.
Did find an Amulet of Vigor, and now a question would be if that's enough. He'd have to have... an Explore in his hand. If he has that, he'd have enough. He'll take the Amulet. Could spend this on Explore, play the bounce land, make 4. Spend this on Amulet, yeah. Play bounce land, make 4, play Explore, get up to 6 for Titan. He would need Explore or Azusa for this to work. 2 Amulets for Will. Vesuva, copying Simic Growth Chamber, is going to untap twice, so he has double green, double blue. Or very least 1 green, 1 blue. We'll see what he wants to pick up here. He doesn't have to make the second set of mana just yet. Picks up a basic forest.
It's still set up where he at least will be able to transmute the Tolaria West here.
Right. Ancient Stirrings down to single blue. That one's free, can still transmute the Tolaria West. There's not too much he can find anymore that's colorless and matters here. He does find a 3rd amulet. It doesn't do much at the moment. In general, the 2 amulets is pretty great. The 3rd one is where they start making more mana than most of your chains can use. Nothing to say that the 3rd amulet, you're right, that the 2nd one's the sweet spot. The 3rd one is okay, but is forgettable. He'll spend his mana transmuting Tolaria West. What I do like about this, however, Ryan, is that if he gets Pact of Negation, he could pay for his Pact of Negation and has so much extra mana, thanks to 3 amulets, that he could pay for Pact, make Primeval Titan in the same turn.
Sure. He also has a good mix of lands already in hand, so if he's looking at lands versus Primeval or Amulet of Vigor,
right,
it's not too much he wants to take over it.
Pass back to Austin. He's going to need some help. He set himself up for the Titan. Now the question is, does he have it? He transmuted in a way that let him have 6 mana this turn with Gemstone Mine. Against double Amulet, he's got to be worried about what a Primeval Titan on the way back will do.
And he knows about the 3rd amulet as well, so even if he were thinking, can I destroy one of these amulets, what does that do for me? Doesn't do anything. You know, as you were mentioning, the 2 amulets are the sweet spots. Destroying one doesn't amount to much.
And you see Will positioning his lands already. He has Slayer's Stronghold in hand. The on-the-board play is play Slayer's Stronghold as your land per turn. Attack for 6, give it, tap 9, make a haste Titan. Will thinking it over. Austin thinking it over here. If he has,
he's really in the tank here. Doesn't feel like he has the Titan.
If he doesn't have the Titan, I don't know how much of this is going to matter.
Right.
At this point, the Hive Mind doesn't do much either. He will Pact here. Hasn't played the land yet, but we know he has it. Will gonna let that happen.
And this could be something that was giving him pause. If he Summoner's Pacts for Titan, how much can he do if he has to spend 4 mana on the following turn?
Yeah, I mean, this will just be all his mana. He has no Amulet of Vigor. He'd tap 6 for the Titan. He'd get 2 lands into play tapped. They would just be into play tapped. And then he'd say go.
Don't shuffle and present that deck.
What, because you're going to be back in it?
Yeah, the triple sleeve deck. Make him show you the pact first.
Aether Hub for Austin. And here's the 6 mana. Cast Primeval Titan. Checks for... This is where the Pact Negation would have shown up if it was there, but it is not.
Yeah. And right back into the deck.
Actually, there's already... I think... No, Will is not on the hook for a Pact this turn.
Yeah, the last turn was the turn where he started there, so he'll be untapping, have a bunch of mana, bunch of amulet effects. He could have an extremely explosive turn.
Ghost Quarter and Simic Growth Chamber were the finds. Austin has to pick up a land. He'll pick up the Teleria West. He'd already made his land drop this turn, so can't threaten that Ghost Quarter, and he just says go. Now, what can Will accomplish? It's a little harder for Will to full combo here because, actually, he has some of the combo pieces already in his hand, which is not where he wishes they weren't there.
Right. It's out in a Sousa or a Sakura Tribe Scout to get them multiple lands from the hand of the battlefield. Can be a little bit choked on that sort of thing.
We go back over to Will. Draw. Looked like it was at an Azusa. Believe it was.
That makes things a bit easier.
Yeah, there's some good plays possible here. That would be the ideal draw. If these combo pieces... First, if the combo pieces are in his deck, then he's got a great attack. If they're in his hand, an Azusa draw would be very powerful here, as then he can get them all into play in time. Though you have to kind of plan it out ahead of time to make sure that everything happens in the right order.
Yeah, he's about to commit a lot of game actions, and the sequencing on it matters a lot. You have to line up how you get all your utility lands on the table, make sure you have the correct mana. Typically with this deck, that means being able to make red-white multiple times.
He has both Slayer Stronghold and Sunhome in his hand, so the only way he can get them both into play would be with the help of Azusa. Now, the Titan can't... The hard part is that it can become a 10-6. It can't be... Or an 8-6. It can't become a 10-6 because the Slayer Stronghold is being played out of hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't naturally enter the battlefield tapped, so you won't get to do any amulet business with that.
Floats red-white.
He can use it as more than one land drop if he pairs it with a bounce land.
Yeah.
So that limits some of the stuff he can do.
Gonna cast Summoner's Pact. We'll start here. Going to get Primeval Titan. Looks like he's found a line he likes. He'll use the red mana to cast a third Amulet of Vigor. Cast Primeval Titan. He's gonna have a lot of mana here.
Yeah, those mana counters will come in handy.
Yeah, I mean, what he's going to do, I think, is he can make an army. He can make an army of Primeval Titans. It's still going to be... This Azusa will be the interesting part, as he gets Simic Growth Chamber. Yeah, and this is for you get Simic Growth Chamber, Teleria West. They untap 3 times, so that's the correct mana made. 6 blue, 3 green. He may then picks up the Teleria West, transmutes it, what's for likely another Primeval Titan.
Yeah, Summoner's Pact into it.
Yep. Yep, Austin helping out. There should be 6 left here. Another Primeval Titan. So far, so good. Another pact for another Titan. Now, the hard part is going to be giving multiple ones haste. It's because his Vesuva's in play, his Slayer Stronghold is in hand. So I think the way he can do this is if this Titan gets a lot of mana, some bounce lands, he'll pick up the Vesuva because Vesuva enters tapped. Then he has to play Azusa, put the Slayer Stronghold into play, and then put the Vesuva into play tapped, copying Slayer Stronghold, which will let it untap and give both Titans haste. But all those steps have to happen. The Azusa was important in this.
Right.
If he can do that, he'll have 2 8/6 attackers. He can double strike the one that's not blocked, and that... Yeah, he should have a land drop left to double strike the one that's not blocked.
Right. If you're only attacking with 2, can't you just get some red and white mana floating? I think he's choked on lands to do what I want to describe, because you only have so many red and white mana sources in the deck.
That's the hard part, right?
Right. Yeah, I was thinking about playing the Stronghold from hand, pump 1, bounce land to pick it up, play it again. But then I don't know how many red and white sources you have. I guess with your 2 Titans, you could drum up bounce land, 2 Gemstone Mines, and the Sunhome. Yeah, watch what's going to happen here. So he got Gruul Turf and Gemstone Mine, untapping 3 times. He's cashing all the Gemstone Mine counters into white mana. So he has triple Naya. Now, I don't know about picking up that
Gruul Turf as opposed to the Vesuva, as he casts Azusa for 3 with all the green mana. Slayer Stronghold can only give one of them haste. It just gives one Titan haste.
He still has 2 more land drops, right?
He does still have 2 more land drops, but this used an extra land drop.
Well, if he can't get up to 3 Titans, though, I think he still gets to haste both of them. But he has the Sunhome in hand.
Yeah, it means he can't play the Sunhome from his hand.
Yeah, the Sunhome's trapped in hand. I missed that element.
Right, so he's finding a line that's a little weaker. It may still work. He's using the Gruul Turf, he's the last 2 land drops, to bounce and replay the Sunhome. It's fine, but picking up the Vesuva would have let him put the Sunhome into play. It still might be lethal here. It's a great attack.
Not to mention that Robbins' turn will start by paying 4 mana to pay for a Primeval Titan. He's also just attacking for 16, so the Titan that Robbins has will just be going away in combat. Swing
with both of these, which are going to make approximately 1 million mana. He gets 4 more lands into play that will untap 3 times each. Things will happen. He's out of land drops, though. And Robbins does have to block one of them. So Robbins will lose the Titan, which is really the important part here.
Yes. Yeah, starting your turn, spending 4 mana, in a matchup that's all about casting 6 mana spells, where you're just behind 2 of those 6 mana spells on the table.
Yeah, it's you're right. Your ramp finisher ramps you more, and more land. The deck continues to have more ways to utilize its land.
Pulliam just going to think about the best way to stop Robbins from doing anything next turn, which I assume involves getting a Pact of Negation in his hand.
A lot of mana that Will can't use in combat, as he gets 2 lands and he'll get 2 more.
I saw Tolaria West found there. Some bounce land will pick that up. That should be turning into a Pact of Negation.
Block here. The Titans will trade. Robbins takes 8. 2 tramples over, 10 rather. 2 tramples over from that, and the other one deals 8. So Austin will drop to 5. Will's has to pay for 2 Summoner's Pacts. He does have enough mana for that.
He looks to be able to do that.
Post-combat. Transmutes Tolaria West. And see if he still has Walking Ballista in his deck. Cavern of Souls was on Giant, which makes me think the Ballista's not in his deck anymore. So he'll just transmute for a Pact of Negation.
Yeah. Also, all his lands are tapped here. The Titan should be able to clean things up anyway.
Austin Robbins has to pay for a Pact, draws, and out of energy. Is that going to do it?
As Amulet Titan players are wont
this is
to do.
a fitting finish to an Amulet Mirror here.
Gonna give it a think. But I can't be dead. My deck is so complicated and cool.
There must be a way. Hold on.
Dig myself out of anything.
Sometimes my favorite part of the deck is you'll be hanging out like 4 days after a tournament, and you'll just be doing something else, and you'll be like, wait, there was a better way to do that turn. It's just like it happens frequently.
Just wake up in the middle of the night sometimes.
Like, I need to get my cards out. Hold on.
I should have transmuted for Ballista.
It might have been better. Summoner's Pact from Austin Robbins. He doesn't have enough mana. I think Will lets this resolve, and he does.
Yep. You can always wait to Pact of Negation whatever is found.
Look, I appreciate us finding the line. I at this point, I don't know the line we're on. The Reclamation Sage is not going to do it.
Well, it can destroy one of the amulet
figures. It does that. Titan has Trample. This guy has 1 toughness. You swing.
6 minus 1 is 5.
That is one of the, yeah. Hey, you're doing it too. Transmute of Tolaria West for Pact of Negation. Now he can't pact your Reclamation Sage.
Could be defending a slaughter pack with that, but this Azusa can become lethal.
Yeah.
Because of the Boros lands. Stronghold plus some home.
As long as Will has enough mana for that.
Better double check on that. Is that less than 28?
I think
whatever he's got.
It's a lot. Austin says go. We're going to Ghost Quarter something on the upkeep. The Ghost Quarter is just waiting.
This is the idea here that he's hoping Will doesn't pay for his packs. I guess that must be what's happening here.
Maximum confusion. If I just start doing chaotic plays, maybe I will confuse my opponent to the point where they don't pay for their packs. Except that Will put some dice on his deck, so that one seems rough.
Well, Robbins didn't make it look flashy enough. This isn't like casting a Spell Pierce, you know? He's just like tutoring up creatures that are clearly irrelevant. And Pulliam's too sharp for this.
Cast Rex Sage. Transmute for... You should transmute for Bazooka Bog. Just really confuse him. He'll be like, why is that in the deck?
And he will conclude, oh, no reason.
Will has successfully paid for the pacts.
Smart.
And now he will get his land off Ghost Quarter. It is a forest.
Not missing anything.
And Austin Robbins will extend the hand. The last out was Triad the Pacts, and with it, Will Pulliam is your Charlotte Open champion.
Big hugs for the champion.